Okay, so before we get started, I've got my chart here, basic T chart. I've got our focus, main idea is the text structure, description or descriptive. Jamestown is the article, and it is nonfiction. Informational is the genre. We've got our main idea and then our supporting details. And we like to find 2 to 3 supporting details for every main idea. So make sure that you are creating this chart on a piece of paper and following along with me because you are going to need it for your exit ticket. So let's take a look at our article. Okay. We've got, I put 2 brain pops in in our schedule that you can watch to get some background knowledge of Jamestown, but I've got a lot of background knowledge about Jamestown because when I taught in Virginia, we actually went to Jamestown, Virginia for our 4th grade field trip. So I know that it is in Virginia, and it was the first settlement. So that's my schema. I'm just going to write that down right here. And this is from the National Geographic Kids by Fran Downey. So we've got our quick introduction. What was the most important event in U.S. history? Was it the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock? How about the American Revolution? Or was it the Civil War? It's hard to decide. They're all important, yet the founding or starting of Jamestown may have been the most important. After that, everything in America changed, even worms. You're probably wondering what worms have to do with history. We'll get to that later. First, we have to learn about Jamestown. All right, so as you can see, they have divided the article into subsections. We've got our headings, our subheadings for each section, kind of like the Scholastic does. So our first one is a dangerous land. While I'm reading this section, I want you to be thinking, what is the main idea of this section? And how does the subheading, a dangerous land, kind of go with the main idea? On May 14th, 1607, 3 ships full of colonists came to shore along the banks of the James River in what is now Virginia, which is near Virginia Beach. The people on board had sailed from England to a new colony. They called it Jamestown. The colonists couldn't have chosen a worse place to settle, so it was not a good place. It was marshy and filled with mosquitoes, just like how we have here. We have a lot of marshland, and mosquitoes love to hang out there. There was little drinkable water. Worse yet, the area was in a drought. They also faced other hardships. They had to protect themselves from 2 enemies. First, they were fearful that ships from Spain would attack them. England and Spain were fighting each other at the time. Second, they were afraid that a Native American group, the Powhatans, would attack them. To protect themselves, the colonists built a fort. It was a triangle shaped. Inside the fort, the colonists thought they would be fairly safe. They were wrong. The new environment threatened the colonists even more than the Native Americans did. Indeed, it nearly wiped them out. Wiped them out meaning pretty much killing everyone in the fort, everyone that had first come over. So we've read our first section. Let's think of a dangerous land. What do we think the main idea is? We know that we're talking about Jamestown, and what they're saying is it was pretty dangerous. So I'm going to say that the main idea, and you can do this with me, is Jamestown was dangerous. I put my topic and what they're focusing on in this section. Now we've got to look at 3 reasons why Jamestown was dangerous. Dangerous for the colonists that had settled there. Well, let's look here first. It was marshy and filled with mosquitoes. So we're going to say marshy and filled with mosquitoes. 2. Okay, what else did they say? Well, they said they were fearful that the ships from Spain would attack them. Fearful ships from Spain would attack. And I'm doing caveman talk here. You can kind of abbreviate it. And then the other thing that they were fearful of were the Powhatans, the Native American group. Pocahontas, if you've ever seen the Disney movie, was she was from the Native American or American Indian tribe, Powhatans. So they were afraid of the Powhatans. I'm just going to write Native Americans. So what I've done here is I have taken 3 details that show why Jamestown was dangerous. All 3 of these supporting details go with my main idea. Let's keep on reading. And I'm going to read you the caption right down below. This is an illustration. It's not a photograph. The Jamestown colonists reached the shores of the James River 13 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. So it's 13 years prior to that. So it really was the first settlement. All right, heading home. The drought caused many hardships. Water was scarce. Scarce means they did not have a lot of it. Crops wouldn't grow. Animals couldn't find plants to eat. The colonists were often hungry and thirsty. Out of food, the colonists started to eat anything they could find. They wolfed down cats, dogs, horses, and rats. So once they had no food, they started eating cats, dogs, horses, and rats. They even boiled starch from some of their clothes to make a thick soup. They still starved. Thirsty, the colonists drank water from the James River. That was bad. The river water was often muddy and salty. So just like we can't drink the ocean water, it had a lot of salt in it. It made the colonists very ill. Many died from drinking the water. Others died from starvation. They called this period the starving time. Nearly 2 years after the colonists founded or started Jamestown, they decided to head home, and by then there were not many of them left. Worn out, they loaded a ship and got ready to leave. In the nick of time, supply ships arrived. The colony was saved. Things now started to get better for the colonists. More colonists moved from England to Jamestown. One of them was a man named John Rolfe. So, many of them died of starvation or from drinking the salty James River water. They were about to head home because of this when a supply ship came and saved them. So let's think. What did they mainly talk about in this section? Kind of the reason that they were heading home was they were starving and they had many hardships. The drought. See that first sentence in the first sentence sometimes is your clue of what the main idea is going to be. The drought caused many hardships. So I'm going to come over here. Here's going to be my main idea. And I'm just going to paraphrase it. A drought caused problems. A hardship is a problem. And let's look at what were the problems that it caused. There wasn't enough food because no crops could grow. Not enough food. So what happened? People starved. What else? They didn't have good drinking water, so they had to drink the James River water, which was salty and ended up killing them. So I'm going to say the water made the colonists sick. And then all of these problems where they had to resort to eating parts of their clothing, the starch. I didn't know that, but this was called the starving time. And during the starving time, many died. Okay, so all of these, the drought caused these problems, these hardships. Not enough food, the water made them sick. Many died during the starving time. And now we're gonna go to our last section that we're gonna do together. And so now things are starting to look up. They were saved by the supply ship. Things are getting better. And now we're gonna read about John Rolfe and how life did get better. John Rolfe settled in Jamestown 3 years after the colony had been founded. Things were finally starting to look up. Soon the drought ended. That's good. Things continued to get better. In 1614, so that's 7 years later, because they came in 1607, Rolfe married Pocahontas. So Pocahontas did not marry John Smith. She married John Rolfe. She was the youngest daughter of Chief Powhatan, the leader of the Powhatans. The marriage brought peace between the colonists and the Powhatan. So now there was peace between those two groups. Ralph also got a shipmaster to bring tobacco seeds to Jamestown. Before long, the colonists were growing and selling tobacco. A plant grown to be sold is called a cash crop because you make money off of it. More and more people moved to Jamestown. Many wanted to come, others were forced. Kidnappers brought people from Africa to Jamestown. There they were forced to work. After a few years, some of these Africans were freed. Others remained slaves. That's kind of the first form of slavery here in the United States. Slaves worked in the tobacco fields. They built houses for their owners. They did much of the work to build the colony, yet they were never paid. For them, Jamestown and America did not offer a better life. All right, so we're going to think, what made life better? Who made life better? This focuses a lot on John Rolfe and how he made life better. So we're going to say John Rolfe arrived with supplies, making life better. Okay, and we're going to say how, or what supports that. Well, we know right up here, the supply ship came in the nick of time, bringing supplies for the colonists. So we're going to say supply ship came just in time. What else made life better? Well, John Rolfe married Pocahontas, which brought peace between the colonists and Native Americans. Say, Rolfe married Pocahontas and brought peace. And you guys don't need to be writing all of these with me. You're just going to focus on the bottom one. You can do the chart with me if you want, but you don't have to do all of this. The last thing, this was probably the most important, is he brought over tobacco seeds, which started tobacco to be grown with making it a cash crop. So, brought, and it grew and grew and made them a lot of money to Jamestown. And I'm going to put cash crop. The little dollar symbol made lots of money, if you can see that. Okay, so the last section, a changing land. I'm gonna read, and you, for your exit ticket, you are going to have to figure out what the main idea is of this section and give me 3 supporting details. So feel free to pause the video at any time. A changing land. The colonists changed the land around Jamestown in many ways. For starters, they cut down trees and grew crops. The colonists also brought new animals and plants to America. Domestic cattle, chickens, goats, horses, and pigs all made the journey to Jamestown. None of these species lived in the Americas before the colonists brought them. Domestic means like, they can live on a farm, they can be around humans, and, it's not like a wolf or a bear where something could happen. Here is a picture. Here's our caption. The colonists chopped down trees to clear the land in order to plant and grow tobacco and other crops. The sale of tobacco helped the colony survive and grow. Here's our last section. Some of the smallest alien animals brought by colonists made the biggest changes. Take worms and honeybees, for example. Before 1607, worms didn't exist in some parts of America. Night crawlers and redworms didn't crawl through soil. And I didn't know this, I just learned this today after reading this article. These tiny worms made big changes. They ate leaves that littered forest floors. Those leaves fertilized and protected the soil. Without the leaves, rainwater washed away nutrients. That made it harder for some native plants to grow. Native means like where it's from. While worms made it harder for some native plants to grow, bees made it easier for some alien plants to root. But busy bees helped pollinate watermelon, apple trees, and peach trees. Without bees, these plants would never have survived in America. That's really interesting. So for that section that we just read, Changing Land, I want you to write the main idea and 3 supporting details. Remember, you can go back or pause the video at any point of what I just read. Okay? So just for a changing land. Then this last section, I have a little question for you after I read. True survivors. The Jamestown colonists weathered or got through some tough times, but they survived. Jamestown was the first English colony to succeed in America. More colonies followed. The people in these colonies changed the land in many ways. So did the plants and animals they brought. Together, these colonies, plants, and animals helped make America what it is today. So my question for you is, how did some of the things that the settlement and the colonists first did, how did that change America and make it what it is today? And you'll also see that exit ticket question on the document for today. So let's review. You're going to do your exit ticket for a changing land, main idea, 3 supporting details, and then you're going to answer that last question about how it made America what it is today. All right. I hope you found that interesting. I think the Jamestown settlement is very interesting, so I hope you watch the Brain Pop videos about that. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.